All right, guys, here we go. All right, folks, welcome back to another episode of TWiP. I am your host, Frederick Van Johnson, here with me to discuss a few of the more interesting stories affecting you and me and other photographers this week. I'm joined by Mr. Shiv Verma of
Hello, Frederick.
ShivVermaPhotography.com. Hey, Shiv, what's going on?
Hey, the usual, just lots of travel and lots of fun.
I love it. You know, those are two things that I can get my brain around, travel and fun. If you sprinkle in some photography in there, it's all good.
Okay, it's done.
All right, we're going to talk about that. All right, also on the show is Mr. Tim Engel from EngelPhoto.com. Hey, Mr. Engel, how are you doing?
Good, Frederick. Thanks for having me back.
Hey, you're welcome. You're welcome. You're without your trusty sidekick. Every time I see you, I
Yeah.
don't want to. I better not call her a sidekick. You are more her sidekick than she's.
There you go,
side-
Christine. Yeah, my partner in crime on stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So she lets you out of the corral to do a show without her, huh?
Well, yeah, and she's getting ready for something we can talk about later. So yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
All right, before we dive in, so you mentioned you kind of teased that you're running the globe. I always like to talk to you because you're always going new and exciting places. I always call you the James Bond of photography. Where are you going next to solve crimes and fight evil?
Oh, actually, the next one is the next major ones. We're doing Smoky Mountains for the big. I don't know how to really define it, but they have a festival, and it's called the Wildflower Festival.
Okay.
And it's probably one of the nicest opportunities to not only get in the landscapes, but also to get in the wildflowers that exist in the mountains. So it's a beautiful time of year. So we're going to do 1 week over there. And then coming to your neck of the woods.
When?
Kinda, yeah, to doing Yosemite, doing Mono Lake, Bodie, and the bristlecones.
Oh, nice. I've never been to Mono Lake. I want to go shoot the. There's a
No,
ton of
it's
flies and mosquitoes up there, right?
Yes, yes. But you know what? The gulls take care of the flies and mosquitoes, and we take care of the pictures.
Excellent.
So
Excellent.
there's that, and then what's the big ones after that is Botswana.
Tim, you see how these countries just roll off? He's like, oh yeah, I'm going to Botswana, then Ethiopia, then I have to go to Madagascar.
Yes. Ethiopia is very much in it. Yosemite is on this year. And then the last one is going to be Patagonia, which we're still working on, but I think December is going to be Patagonia.
Ugh, you have such a rough life. How do you even deal? Like, how do you put up with it? It's crazy.
Well, you know what I just did? Now I've decided to let my wife go do the scouting trips.
Oh.
So she's actually leaving this week to scout out one of your favorite places.
Where's this? Paris?
No.
Where?
Vietnam.
New Zealand.
Vietnam.
Vietnam. Okay,
Yes.
that was the third one I was going to say.
So she's going to spend some time in Cambodia and Vietnam and get it organized so we can do something there in 2017.
You know, and Shiv, I do like the positioning, how you tried to let us think that you made the decision that she was going to go scouting for you. I have a feeling she made the decision that she was going to go scouting for you.
You know, Frederick, I would say something, but she might be listening to this trip eventually, so I better be careful.
Don't do it. Don't do it. It's permanent, man. It's a permanent part of the internet. Awesome. Well, cool. Welcome back to the show, man. Always a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Get your insights. Tim Engel, what about you, man? What's coming up on your schedule?
Gosh, I feel like I'm going to Citrus Heights tomorrow, and then Sacramento. No, I don't have anything good like that.
You know, I'm going to Starbucks, then I'm going to Target.
Yeah. No, I mean this week we're in the throes of Sac Fashion Week, which is a week-long fashion event here in Sacramento that's kind of grown quite large. And so I have some shows this week, and I kind of just go and do, I don't know, whatever I feel like doing. I don't shoot runway stuff really anymore. I just kind of like go to
You're
make
not part
pictures.
of you're not part of the paparazzi at the end of the runway that's popping off the flashes every time
No,
a
but-
model comes to the end.
And really, my big role was, months ago when I shot all the promo stuff.
Yeah.
And we mentioned earlier, Christine, so she was chosen as the face of Sac Fashion Week, and this is their 10th anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Yeah, I heard she has a billboard up there somewhere, right?
she had a few billboards going, so that was kind of fun. And then some TV stuff, I think, Thursday for her, and then 2 shows, the big show on Saturday, which I think you're still joining us, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm coming up.
Yeah, so, and then my other kind of like travel is I coach track, high school track as well, and I'm taking the track team to Alaska. I guess
Nice.
I'm bringing my camera, and then
You're gonna try to bring all of them back too, right? Don't leave any of them
I don't,
behind.
whatever. I don't. That's their. They can run. They'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And then I come back, and it sounds like I'm coming back, and that day I'm going to meet you in Mexico. I think is the plan right now.
That's right. Yeah, we're going to the Yucatan.
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful.
Yes, you see, I have some place that I'm going. It's cool, right? So we're going to the Yucatan, and we'll talk about it a little bit later in the show. But if folks want to find out about it right now, just go to twip.pro/Mexico, and that'll have a list of the dates and all the different things we're going to do there. It's going to be insanely cool. I can't wait. This will be my first time, I'm going to say, in Mexico, Tim. This is
Okay.
I've gone to Tijuana when I was in the military. That doesn't really count as Mexico.
Most of us have been there, so.
Yeah, exactly. It's like San Diego South or something.
Right. Right.
So yeah, it should be interesting.
So don't forget to pack your drone.
Oh, dude, come on. The drone is coming. I may send that in advance just to make sure it gets there.
I think this is going to be like the Steadicam trip.
Oh, it's going to be good. I'm bringing the drone. I'm bringing the Osmo. Of course, I'm bringing all the Micro Four Third gear. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Yeah, Tim, you just brought an Osmo as well, right?
I did, yes. So you, once again, have cost me money. Thank you.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean, every TWiP is like, $1,000, $50.
Oh, I know.
imagine being me. Come on.
I tell my wife
You're
I'm going to be on the
culprit.
show.
You're the culprit.
I know. We need to start like a TWiP lending circle where we can just borrow each other's gear so we
That's
don't all have to buy the same stuff. All right, guys. Well, speaking of gear, let's dive into the show. The first story I want to chat about is Pentax. We don't talk about Pentax enough on the show, but they're an amazing company that's putting out some really cool hardware. So let me read our lead in here. It says, it's been a while since we heard anything from Pentax or Ricoh, but last week they finally entered the full-frame DSLR market with the announcement of the Pentax K1. The new K1 is Pentax's first DSLR, and it boasts an impressive set of features, several of which cannot be found on any full-frame DSLR on the market today. With the rise in popularity of mirrorless cameras resulting in a decline of DSLR sales, is there room for Pentax in the declining DSLR space, and does it make sense to try and go after that market today, considering all the pressure and the competition in the mirrorless space? Shiv Verma, I know you're the perfect person to pose. Both of you guys are perfect for this, but Shiv, when we first started talking, you were on the precipice of switching from DSLR to mirrorless, and you switched, and which means a lot because your images are fantastic. You travel the world. You don't have a whole lot of margin for error in there, and for you to commit to a system means a whole lot. When you see a new story like Pentax going in the other direction, saying, "Hey, we're going after the 36 megapixel weather-sealed, rugged tank of a camera space," even though this camera, we're going to read some of the specs of this camera, it looks fantastic. But what do you think? I mean, is it the right move for them to go after that space, or is that space shrinking?
The space is shrinking, but the problem with that space has been so far very little real innovation.
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at every incremental camera that comes out, it has an incremental little addition or an incremental little modification. Nothing to get really excited about. But you look at what Ricoh has done with the K1, or the Pentax K1 as they call it, is that they've actually done a lot of things that Olympus did, a lot of things that Sony's done, and they kind of put it together into this. Yes, it's a DSLR, but it has a lot of features that don't exist anywhere else. And to me, two of the most exciting things are, I don't know if you recall the Foveon sensor, which had the multi-layers and stuff.
Yeah.
Now, they haven't got a Foveon sensor in here, but they've got a sensor that actually moves to capture colors at every pixel level. So if you look at a pixel position, the sensor moves and captures RGB at every spot. To me, that's innovation. And when you have,
we've seen that before. That's not innovation.
True.
They're not, I think Olympus was it that they did
no,
that
Olympus.
first?
Olympus does the sensor move to capture very high density images.
Okay, almost like HDR, right? Yeah.
But to actually move the sensor to capture color is, in fact, to me, innovation.
Okay.
And for a sensor that size to be able to do it, I think that's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
The other bit of innovation that I've sort of got excited about is we have all these big sensors that don't have the anti-aliasing filter. So you end up with potential moire problems and the images getting all the artifacting and things of that sort. And here, I'm going to use a term, they actually jiggle the sensor.
That's a technical scientific term.
The moire. I mean, that's pretty unique. So it's these things that to me, from a technology point of view, are exciting. But yet, I do feel that in the space that they are in with the DSLR world, a large mirror again. I mean, the larger the sensor, the larger the mirror. Mm-hmm. Yes, large mirrors have advantages, but to the same extent, I mean, you still, it's that archaic mirror technology. I hate to use that word, but I will. Yeah. And but it's at least something that's different. It's something that's new that'll keep the excitement going for a lot of photographers. And eventually, if they can move that same kind of technology into the mirrorless world, now we've got a winner. So, maybe the move is right, maybe it isn't.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, doing some research for this episode and watching some of the videos, or one of the videos that they put up, the person that was doing the video was kind of positing that this was a logical step for folks that already own the Pentax 645 system, which is a kind of a medium format system, mm-hmm. because all the lenses are interchangeable. So, looking at it through that lens, the lens of, okay, they didn't build this to try to own the DSLR space and take it from Canon and Nikon. They built this for their customers that need this smaller form factor and already have an investment in lenses for the 645 system, which makes sense. Yeah. But I wonder how big that market is.
And to that point, you can also use their APS-C lenses on this camera.
Oh, great.
Yeah, so it works both ways.
Yeah. Tim, what about you? What do you think about this? I mean, so you are where Shiv Verma was about 2 years ago. So Tim is still in the DSLR camp, and there's nothing wrong with that, but you have been gradually hinting and moving to the mirrorless side, complaining about back pain and all this stuff. So,
yeah. As it goes along, my roller bag gets bigger.
Exactly. So when you see something like this, does this make you? I mean, I know probably doesn't make you want to jump from. You're shooting Canon now, right? Or you shooting
Nikon?
Jump from Nikon to Pentax / Ricoh, but the innovations that they put in this camera look pretty compelling. The one that got me, Shiv, that you didn't touch on was, it seems so obvious. The lighting up the back of the camera so that you can see the dang thing in dark.
I had to leave something for you, Frederick.
Yeah, I know. Thank you.
Yeah, but all the little features. That's the one I'm like, oh, I like that.
Exactly. It's exactly. I don't know, Tim. What do you think?
And the LCD screen that it has some cool articulation.
Oh yeah, that's crazy.
So
yeah,
I
saw
cool. That. And I actually had seen the same point about, it's aimed at that guy who has that 645, and that makes more sense, I think, to have that second body. I mean, I've dealt with that 645, and it's a big, wieldy camera. Mm-hmm. So if the lenses can go, down to that camera, it makes a lot more sense. But it has some cool features, from the weather sealing to, the LCD, I think, and the LED lights. I mean, those are some cool features.
But looking at these camera, or this camera in particular, now, Shiv, I know your sort of sweet spot is going to be sort of the travel and landscape and those sorts of shots. Tim, on your side, it's fashion, right? So fast-moving subjects, models, conceptual stuff, commercial type photography. So obviously on the Shiv side, I've seen his work. Going mirrorless makes sense for him. Does it make sense for someone like you? Or is the tool of choice for what you're doing still the DSLR?
I mean, I've tested with the Sony, and the Sony couldn't keep up with how I shot. Mm-hmm. And so far.
Well, which Sony? Because there's different Sonys for different things.
Well, the A7S.
Yeah. Okay. So
so it wouldn't keep up with how I shot. So it's really tough for me to try and switch to mirrorless if it can't keep up.
And when you say keep up, does that mean focusing speed or write speed or what?
The focusing speed, the ability to move. I move my focus point constantly. I mean, always. And so it just wouldn't keep up with me on that. And even I think at the time, That's something that I couldn't solve, and I only had it. They sent it to me for like a week to play with, so there's a lot of things I don't know.
Yeah, that may not be enough time. Yeah,
But
because you gotta just like anything, you gotta build up some
yeah,
muscle memory on how the camera operates in order to get good with it.
and that's the other thing too. It's like for me to stop and try and work through that process of relearning something. It's hard to stop and do it. It's
Yeah,
just,
yeah. It's almost like air-to-air refueling, right? You gotta.
Yeah.
It's tricky.
And it seems like Pentax, while it's a great camera, if it is trying to inch into that market's definitely going, I think, the other way. I mean, I'm not looking at greater DSLRs. I'm looking still at Nikon to do an amazing mirrorless that I can put my lenses on and do something with.
Yeah, I wonder when that's coming. I mean, we've been talking about it for years now, and like literally years. We've been talking about when is this mythical unicorn slash Macalo coming? One from Nikon and one from Canon, right?
Yeah.
When are they coming? But at the same time, each. Like, I don't know, over the past couple of years, we've seen the DJIs come out, we've seen Lytro come out with these different things, we've seen all these different camera companies keep innovating, mostly on the mirrorless side, if not all mirrorless. And lately, like Tim, we were talking about before, that Osmo from DJI. Now, DJI is kind of slowly inching into the camera market with these non-conventional looking cameras on gimbals that do all these kind of crazy programmatic things. So it's like another shot across the bow of these high-end DSLR guys. Shiv, what do you think? I mean, what am I missing? I feel like I'm missing something.
I don't think you're missing anything. I mean, I really think that till Nikon and Canon realize that times have changed. I don't think they fully comprehend that. I don't think they fully understand where the market is really going and what the market is calling for. I mean, look at it. I mean, we're going to probably talk about some Canon gear later. Mm-hmm. But what's Canon done?
Yeah.
If you really think about it, what has Canon done? They've improved the ability to focus.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, come on. I mean, we're being flippant about it, but I'm sure I don't want to minimize what those guys do over there they've got legions of people that are following them. But at the same time, you're right. I mean, from our standpoint, we're on the outside looking in, and when we look at, hey, there's a new camera on DP Review or Photo District News to go check out, and we read through the specs. Regardless of how much effort went into that on the back end, when we read those specs, we're thinking like, oh wow, okay, that's great. That's not going to change my world at all. Right?
Yeah, I can shoot in darkness better, and it focuses a little faster.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, those are the two things. I mean, everything that you read about, whether it be Nikon or Canon, better focusing, better low light performance, and oh, by the way, a bigger sensor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
more megapixels, which I don't need.
And there is a point when you say, okay, all of this is great, and now you have some lights that come on so that you can change your lens in the dark.
Mm-hmm.
Is that innovation?
They're gonna put some spinners on that so you can have shiny rims and all. It's clearly not innovation. And in some ways, it could be interpreted as grasping for straws, but. But you still, looking at these companies, I can imagine sitting in the room where they have angry, hungry customers waving dollars, right? Their market, that have aging DSLR cameras that aren't ready to switch from DSLR to mirrorless, so they have to give them something. They can't say, okay, we're going to go to mirrorless because maybe they're not ready for that, or they're unwilling, and they can't just keep the same gear. There's money to be had there, so they have to put out something that's new, that has a new number and a new model, new packaging, to go harvest some of that money, right?
Yeah, harvesting the same person's money over and over again without giving them something new. Come on.
Sounds like
it gets to be painful after a while,
Oh man, we're gonna get in so much trouble for this show.
That's all right. I mean, hopefully something gets triggered somewhere.
It would be so easy. I would dive so quickly into it with my lenses if it happened.
Yeah. I don't know. Armchair quarterback. We've said it many times. Nikon or Canon, people, all the money's in the glass, right? We've
Yeah.
got a ton of people that shoot those systems, myself included. I still have a ton of Nikon glass that's sitting there gathering dust. I
Yeah.
would love to have an awesome mirrorless camera that is somehow taken everything that Panasonic and Lumix has done, that has taken everything that Olympus has done, and kind of put it together, and Fuji put it together and made this mythical body that takes F-mount lenses that I can then go shoot with.
Yep.
I would buy that in a heartbeat. I'd swear I would
Sure.
buy that in a heartbeat. Yeah.
I'm sure you would, but really think about something else. Look at the budget that Canon has, the R&D budget of their camera division.
Yeah.
It's probably the size of, Panasonic, Sony, and Olympus all combined.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And what is that R&D doing? I mean, what are they producing?
Um,
I mean, Frederick and I, Tim, just as an FYI, 2 years ago, a little over 2 years ago, actually February it was 2 years ago, we talked about mirrorless, and I said, if I'm going to switch, I'm going to switch, and I'm not going to wait for something else because I don't think it's going to happen. And I actually got rid of every single piece of glass that I owned that was Canon.
Wow.
I did keep one lens, and that was my tilt shift. The only reason is because nobody else makes a good tilt shift lens.
I think I'm right there now. So Tim, if you want to buy some Nikon glass, I think I'll bring it up Saturday, and you can
The store is open.
Yeah. You can give me like 20 grand, and we'll call it even.
You already cost me his stuff with the Osmo, so.
I know. Hey, that's only $600, so you're good. All right, well, cool. So, TWiP listeners, head to thisweekinphoto.com. Check out the story. This, we're linking to an article over on Petapixel, which I think they pulled from somewhere. But go check it out. It's the Pentax K1. Interesting features in there. Like Shiv was saying, that 5-axis image stabilization, a la what Sony's doing, and what Olympus is doing, and Panasonic actually. But on the Olympus and Panasonic size, as Shiv said, they're only jiggling a smaller micro four thirds sensor, where with these big cameras, it's kind of an engineering feat to jiggle a large sensor on 5 axes and still maintain power and all this other stuff. So a pretty interesting camera there. But again, who's it for? All right, guys, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about Canon and the fact that they announced a follow-up to the 70D finally, and it's called, wait for it, the 80D, and they announced some new glass and some new accessories to go along with it. All right, guys, we are back. We're going to talk about Canon and the introduction of their new 80D. They introduced that guy, a new lens, and some new accessories. Let me just read down the specs for this thing before we dive into it. So it is, the new 80D features a 24 megapixel APS-C sized CMOS sensor, a 45-point all-cross type AF system, and the company's dual-pixel CMOS AF autofocusing technology for smoother focusing during video recording. It's powered by a Digic 6 processor. This is totally written by engineers. The 80D has a native ISO range of 100 to 16,000 for stills and 100 to 12,800 for video. The ISO can be expanded to 25,600 for both stills and video, and the camera can record full HD up to 60 frames per second, and it sports a 3-inch very-angled touch screen display. I love when they say full HD when it's not actually 4K. I mean, full HD means not 4K. And it also has 7 frames per second continuous. Let's say 7 frames per second continuous with AF locked on the first frame for up to 110 JPEGs or 25 raw images. Anti-flicker shooting for improved exposure under fluorescent lighting. Time coding for video shooting. The Wi-Fi and NFC, and intelligent viewfinder. And it ships in March for $1,200 for the body only, or $1,800 when bundled with their new EFS 18 to 35 millimeter lens. So, gentlemen, Shiv, by the way,
I'm going to let Tim go first.
Okay, I guess I know you got something to say on this. By the way, Shiv, we lost your video, which won't affect the audio listeners, but you're disembodied avatar at the moment, just FYI.
I am? Oh.
Yeah. All right, Tim. So, looking at these, and don't let Shiv's previous comment about incremental changes taint the witness's response. But what do you think? I mean, is this a compelling update to the 70D, or is this, like I was saying, placating the 70D owners that have been screaming for a new body?
I when I first read it, and I have, not being a Canon shooter, actually called a couple of friends earlier and just said, "What do you think?" And it was basically, well, when my 70D dies, I'll do that.
Yeah. Yeah,
It was
but I'm going to
not.
keep shooting this thing until it dies because this is, yeah, I mean, yeah, it's, I don't shoot Canon either, but I could see them saying that because it's like, okay, what in this is this gold nugget that's making me go into the light,
Yeah,
to get it.
and his one statement was, "Oh, I like the fact that the screen, the LCD will move now,
Yeah,
or touch screen." So it wasn't anything that was so, it didn't improve it so dramatically that they were going to run out and get it.
yeah.
But, we just had the discussion. It's it's better lower light and faster focusing.
Yeah, 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 and it's there. It's hard to talk about these because it seems like it's a great camera, and obviously it's going to be a refinement in what the existing 70D is. And if you're in the market for a new update to your 70D, a la you dropped yours out of a plane or into a puddle or something, then obviously instead of buying another 70D, you buy this thing. But is it bait or catnip enough to bait people into the Canon system? Shiv Verma, I have a feeling you're going to let loose the hounds of hell on this one. So
No, if I did own a 70D,
yeah,
would I get an 80D? That's the real question.
would you?
No,
You would not.
I would not.
Why?
So,
It's
why
clearly a
would
better camera.
See, number one, look, I mean, features are important.
Yeah.
And I don't want to knock Canon over and over again, but features are really important. And features that do something, that have some real value. So I look at this one thing that's touted, right? And it's like, when you're shooting in fluorescent light and there's flicker,
I knew you were going to key on that one. I knew it.
the camera is capable of picking the brightest part of the flicker and then photograph right when the flicker is the brightest.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so let me go into this fluorescent room so that I can do my photography.
Go ahead.
So that just drove me up the wall. And then the other thing that I kind of really like, that this new replacement of the 70D has audio input-output jacks. And now instead of being straight, now they're kind of at an angle, which kind of looks sexy. And just move it at a little angle.
Yeah.
But it only shoots 1080.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
1080 in 2016? Come on, Canon.
I totally agree with you. Yeah, because even that little Osmo that we have shoots 4K. Our iPhones shoot 4K, right? So
Yeah.
I hear
So
you.
if I was to do anything, I'd keep the same 70D and put in the technology to shoot 4K with both an audio in and out jack, and then help pass out some clean 4K HDMI. And I've got a camera that I now want.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't. I mean, this is not the camera that I
well,
would.
this is a good camera for people that are going to do what you're saying and stay with the 70D, because this camera will drive the prices of the 70D backstock down. So now you can go buy a 70D, but it's not going to have the features like you're saying, obviously.
No, I mean, it's this is what I've been sort of harping on for 2 years now, is innovation does not mean a little incremental change. Making 2 holes in the camera instead of 1 doesn't make it a good camera. Oh, the other one that I absolutely loved. They moved the microphones a little further apart on the body of the camera. It's now not on either side of the the flash.
Yeah.
Better sound separation. 1080p.
So, I could see you in the press briefing when they say, yeah, they're rattling off the features, and they ask, Shiv Verma, what do you think about this? 1080p. That's all I got to say. 1080p.
1080p. I mean, 2 years we've been shooting 4K and thoroughly enjoying the quality that we get.
Yep.
Why would I go back? I mean, today I can buy a $500 camera and shoot 4K.
Yeah.
I'm going to spend $1,200?
Yeah.
Come on.
You can do it with your iPhone, right? Yeah, it's
It's
crazy. And so here, okay, so in defense, because I have to play devil's advocate, or I have to defend the defendant here. So 4K, there are very few devices that can display 4K. It requires a lot of space in many cases on your memory card and on your hard drive. It requires a lot of processing power when you're editing to use it. Yes, it gives you more versatility in terms of punching in and all that, but it's heavier. So maybe, and I'm saying that. Let me preface that with saying that when I shoot, generally I'm shooting 4K. Unless specifically I don't need to shoot 4K, but I default to 4K, and then I down if I need to go lower for some special reasons, I'll go to 1080. But when I look at these guys, maybe they're thinking, and I'm armchair quarterbacking here, but maybe they're saying, you know what, for all the things that Frederick just said, we're just going to make this 1080. The world isn't ready for 4K yet. So when we're ready for 4K, we'll do a firmware update, or that'll be the 81D or whatever, and we'll get some more money out of it. I don't know.
So
What do you think?
one would say, Your Honor, can the plaintiff have a word?
Yes, there you go. You have the floor.
True. 1080p, not too many devices. Yes, 4K, it's different. But have you ever downsampled and really watched 4K in 1080p and done the same video in 1080p and watched it?
It looks much better 4K downsampled. Yeah.
I rest my case.
Yes. All right, Matlock.
And the only thing, I was looking at it and talking to a video friend, it's like and they touted like their accessories, which seem to be video accessories, which is an extra new microphone and a focus controller.
Yeah. Yeah.
A zoom controller.
Yeah,
I'm going to put those on the screen right now if I can find it.
Maybe it's a video discussion, because maybe that's something that world asked for. I don't know. Maybe having it as a remote camera, because it talks about the ability to use it remote. So maybe that's where it's like they're trying to work that area better.
And this is the other thing I was thinking. So it's like I said, they're going to ship in March for $1,200 for the body, $1,800 with the new this new lens that I have on the screen right now, is the 18 to 135 kit lens. And then, like Tim said, below it on this page is this new power zoom adapter for $150. It provides up to 10 different levels of zoom speed, which can be controlled remotely. So doing this, this is obviously for cinematography. So you can do cool zoom pulls from far away. I wonder what. Via Canon's Camera Connect app, so you can control it with your phone from far away. And then a Canon branded external mic for $250, which is going to ship in June. So Tim, like you're saying, they're obviously going full-fledged on the video front, and I wonder, is this because of the GH4 and these other cameras that filmmakers seem to be gravitating to because they do so much, and Panasonic has doubled down on owning the video space when it comes to Micro Four Thirds. I wonder if Canon is saying, "Hey, we started this with Vincent LaFerrari way back when. This is our market. We're going to take it back." I don't know. Shiv, what do you think? Is that it, or
how do you take it back?
I don't
know.
You
already lost it.
Well, maybe they didn't lose it. Consumers are fickle. Consumers are fickle.
True, but if you wanted it back, wouldn't this be the perfect opportunity? Your first, I don't call it an entry level. I call it, an enthusiast camera, or a camera that could have done a lot of interesting things. Bring this camera out, put the stuff in there, and you make this mount that has to be attached to the lens so that it can zoom in and out, and you now need to put 4 more AA batteries in there. Now,
this guy here?
You got to make this thing even heavier.
Yeah.
I mean, the least they could have done is said, okay, you can feed this from the battery pack, put a battery pack on the camera, and but now you've got to carry Canon batteries, and now you've got to carry AA batteries to feed this little gizmo.
Yeah. I wonder at which point do you look at these things? It almost reminds me of like when people start forcing their iPhone to do cinematography, and they're like, "Hey, I can put this lens on there, I can put this mount, I can do this," and pretty soon, like I say on the show a lot, you have this Iron Man suit on your iPhone when you could just go buy something purpose-built for this. So if you're going down the road of doing this level of cinematography, instead of putting an Iron Man suit on your DSLR, why not go buy a cinematography camera that's purpose built to do cinematography instead of forcing a DSLR into it?
Right.
I don't know. Tim, what do you think about all this? I mean, if you're a Nikon guy, if Nikon made this move and said, you know, Tim, the next increment of your camera is going to have these incremental features, and by the way, we're throwing out a power zoom adapter for it, a microphone, and we're going after Panasonic and the GH4 with this guy. What would you say? Would you be all in?
The only thing that would keep me interested is if I had a set of Canon things already, and this was maybe an addition to that arsenal.
Mm-hmm.
But like you say, it's like, I mean, there's so many things out there that are playing the game with all the features built into it already. That why would I want to, like, you know, have the transformer camera that can, like, you know, shove pieces onto it? And
I love that term, transformer camera. Oh, Tim, thank you. I'm going to use that again.
Certainly. Well, it feels like it's the little camera that could have.
You can call it Optimus Prime lens.
That's right.
I don't know. You know, in full disclosure, just for folks that are listening that don't know, I am not sponsored by Panasonic or any of those guys, but I shoot Panasonic by choice. I shoot Lumix, and the camera that I took to Vietnam with me was a GX8, and I just started editing my images and videos today, ironically. But I love that camera, so, you know, just full disclosure, that's what I shoot with. Sheev, what do you shoot with?
I'm still shooting with the GH4 and the G7.
Oh, nice.
I absolutely love them, and you know, it's really, it's not just Panasonic. I mean, if you think about mirrorless as a whole, I'm so glad that every time a new camera comes out, there's truly incremental improvements and enhancements. And you know, Olympus has done some incredible things, and to their credit and advantage, they've taken the OMD EM1 and they've actually given it a brand new life. I mean, they haven't created a new OMD EM1, but they just took the OMD EM1 and gave it a new life, which, you know, tremendous. You know, Panasonic has done brilliantly with all of their products. I mean, the GX8, you know, taking the sensor to a whole different level, you know, putting in body image stabilization and tying it in with the lens. Now you've got 6-axis image stabilization.
Crazy. It's crazy.
You know, things like post-focus capabilities, I mean, that just blows me away. I mean, fortunately, my G7 can do that. So it's those kind of things. I mean, it's what does the photographer need? You know, can I do with the slightly slower focusing? Yeah, if I'm not shooting sports, I'm okay with that. Do I need
models,
all that?
or models? Right.
Or models. I mean, do I need the ability to joystick, you know, something that is going to move the lens while I'm taking a video, and yet I'm shooting this 1080p video? It's those kinds of things. I mean, you know, where you see Sony, where you see Olympus and Panasonic, each of those companies have truly done marvelous things with their bodies. I mean, everybody that's come out has been, you know, worth an enhancement and an upgrade. You know, you want it. And but that's not there. So, you know, to me, I mean, it's just, I mean, I hate to keep harping on the point that, you know, give me a little bit of innovation that'll excite me.
Yeah, to make it, I mean, that's what's going to pull the consumers in. Like when I read the spec list for that GX8, I was on Amazon when it became available, and I ordered it on Amazon Prime. Yeah, I was like, boom, boom, boom. I ordered it. It came, you know, a couple days later, and I got in time to go take it on this trip with me. And it not that I used all the whiz-bang features that it has in there, but you're right. It had those, okay, I got to have that. You know, I got to have that. Oh, this is innovative. I need that. You know, it had those different things in there that made me want to buy it. Yes, it had some negatives too, like that silly non-standard microphone jack that it has on it. Yeah, Panasonic, really? You know, I don't understand. So, you know, things like that seemed like an obvious win that they left off, but hey, you got to leave room for the GX9, right?
Well, you know, and I'm going to back up and say that I was thinking about two of my friends that shoot video, and they're amazing at what they do, and they use all Canon stuff. And this is the type of camera even that they would put somewhere that's not even in a safe position that they may leave.
Yeah.
And if it gets just, you know, annihilated on that job, which I've seen some of their wounded, it's not a massive devastation.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, putting another camera that's like, you know, a $5,000 camera in that spot just doesn't make sense.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and there's all this other stuff that you can do now. Back, like I mentioned, Vincent Laforet, a good friend of mine, when he sort of pioneered this whole idea of using DSLRs to create cinematic quality video, the only player in town was Canon, right? So right, so that was like everyone rushed into Canon, like, okay, I got to get one of those because I got to make shots like Vincent is making. Since then, Nikon has come out doing stuff. Obviously, Panasonic is steamrollered over everyone with this stuff. We've got drones now that do 4K from the air. We've got handheld drones that do stuff from the ground. The whole space has changed in terms of what's accessible to us as consumers at a really insanely low price that we can now create stories with. So it's not a Canon game anymore with the you know the 80D. So I don't know. It's interesting where this stuff could and will go. You know, we keep saying on this show that this will be the year that we'll find out what Nikon and Canon are going to do. They're going to come out with their unicorn, and all will be well in the world this year. You know, like Wimpy, I'll gladly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today.
Well, we got a 360 camera coming now, right?
Yeah. Well, the Nikon 360 camera, that looks amazing. I'm going to buy that thing.
I'm into that too. I was like, thank you. That's
yeah. But again, that's not. I mean, it looks great. It looks like a much better camera than that Theta that I have, but it shoots 4K. I mean, if it does what they say it's going to do, it shoots 4K 360 spherical video, which is what I was wishing the Theta would do. So, you know, we'll have to try it out and see it when that thing ships.
And it's nice because finally they're on the front end of something like that at least.
Yeah, but you know, they're all in the front end, but can they do it? Because you've got folks like Ricoh and that Theta and hungry hippo GoPro out there trying to figure out how to make a profit. You know, there's a lot of hungry players out there that have resources to do stuff.
Well, and you saw that, you know, Deadpool used that 360 camera a ton in all their promos.
I haven't seen any of the Deadpool promos, and I have not seen the movie yet. I'm gonna go see that movie. Okay. It's the comics are on my iPad, but I haven't seen the movie yet. So. Yeah, something else to do this week. All right, guys, let's go ahead, Shiv. You were going to say something?
Yes, I was just going to say, you talked about the Theta and Nikon's new product. Hopefully it comes out soon. But again, you know, that's that 360 market.
Yeah.
The 360 market is kind of, yeah, you do lots of crazy things with it, as you just did in the White House, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
But typically that is a very niche market product.
Oh my God, yeah, it is very niche. I said on Leo, I went on Leo Laporte's Screensavers, the new Screensaver show, and we were talking about the Theta, and I love the Theta. In fact, I bought one after that show because Leo had one and Alex had one in the White House. So I was thinking,
Alex has what, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of them?
Alex has an army of Cylons at his command. I don't know. So I was looking at it and I was thinking, this is a brilliant device. It's cool, 360 immersive video, but it needs that killer app. It feels, and I said on the show, it feels like a cure in search of a disease. So it needs some kind of storytelling. One of these hip-hop artists or country or whomever need to do a music video with it and show, okay, we're not showing you this thing just to show you, hey, this is a cool technology. We're actually incorporating it into a real piece of art, you know, of work, and the fact that we did it with a 360 camera is secondary to the overall story. Right now, with all these new toys that we're getting, it's all about, hey, look at what I got. I can do this now, but then you never do anything with it. You know?
The shiny object.
Yeah, it's a shiny object. I can do all this cool stuff. Look, hey, I got this, and it can do all this. I can do 3D, I can do focus later photos, but then we never do anything amazing with it.
Yeah, and everything is stable.
Yeah. So when I want to see one of these top end artists get a Grammy or something for doing a 360, the first 360 immersive music video. Imagine that, right? Then it doesn't become. It's not about the technology and the hardware that did it. It's about the story and the end result.
The vision behind it. Yeah.
Yeah, the vision. And imagine if they actually did something insanely creative with it instead of just like
just a video.
Yeah, here's the artist standing in San Francisco singing, and I can look around. I want to see something like really, really cool.
Yeah.
So I'm throwing the gauntlet down, Hollywood or whoever is watching this. Make something cool with 360. All right, guys. Let's move on. We're gonna jump into the picks of the week. This is the segment, as you guys know, where you can pick something to suggest to the This Week in Photo Army. It just has to be related to photography. Shiv, I'm gonna let you go first. What is your pick of the week?
Okay, I'm going to pick something that I had the opportunity to use and absolutely fell in love with it. It's probably going to be out. I mean, there are some production units out. I had the pleasure of a pre-production unit, but I just absolutely went gaga, as they say, over the new Leica Lumix 100 to 400, which gives me the equivalent of 200 to 800 that I can carry in my hand and shoot without having to worry about tripods and gimbals and having to break my shoulder and my back, and to be able to just literally pocket it. So that to me is innovation. Once again, from a size point of view, from the quality. Yes, it's not the fastest lens, but show me an 800mm lens that's kind of faster than 6.3.
Now, with that, so we're looking at it right now for folks that are listening to this. We've got it up on the screen from DP Review. They've got a hands-on review with the Panasonic Leica DG Vario Elmar 100 to 400 f4 to 6.3. So, Shiv, when you take a lens like this out, and I know you probably haven't yet because you just had it, an evaluation unit. But if you were to take this out to, say, one of these trips that you mentioned in the beginning of the show, is it sharp enough to get the shots, to get those Verma style shots? I think these kinds of lenses. Maybe it's from my past history. I'm thinking you can never get a sharp shot with a lens this long that slow. Is that untrue?
It's. I don't want to use the term unbelievable, but I will.
Oh, good.
It is unbelievable. It is exceptionally sharp. It is exceptionally fast. And despite the fact that I had a pre-production unit, the images that I took, I'm more than satisfied.
Wow. And the photos I'm showing here has it mounted on my GX8. That's teasing. Right. Yes. They're taunting me right now. Look at that thing. It trombones out to like 6 feet long. Look at
twice the size.
Yeah.
But Frederick, I mean, I keep harping on innovation, and I keep talking about things that, what do camera manufacturers need to do to excite the user? And that's the image. Just hold it there.
Oh, this one? Yeah.
Do you see where the switches are?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right on the top. Yeah.
You can use the switches irrespective of where the foot is oriented, because the foot and the switches rotate together.
Oh, nice.
In both long lenses from Canon, from Nikon, the switches stay on the lens. So when you rotate it into a portrait orientation, or if you have it mounted on a gimbal and you want to access the switches, you kind of go under the camera to be able to do it.
Mm-hmm.
We're not over here. So it's these small little things that make a photographer's life easy. That's what excites me.
But this lens is sharp enough, though, you're saying?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Okay. All right.
I mean, if Leica didn't make sharp lenses, then I think Leica might have to change their name.
That's true. Yeah. All right. Nice pick. Well, let's leave this. Do we know what the price of this thing is going to be yet?
Yeah, I believe it's $1,799, just under $1,800.
And I wonder what the equivalent on a full frame DSLR would be for this focal length.
800 millimeters?
Yeah.
Big.
Probably about $15,000.
15K? Really?
Yes. I mean, the 500 is like $11,000, $12,000. The 600 is about the same price range. So if you had an 800.
So Tim, I think the takeaway from this is, if you and I both start saving today, I will win when it comes to being able to get one of these lenses before you do.
I think so. Yeah.
So start saving,
I'm gonna put the model down the street and around the corner, and I'll shoot it from there.
Oh, jeez, yeah.
Yeah,
But I mean, that's a good point. So, what are you shooting with a lens, 800 millimeter lens? Is it you want to get the lion cub from 2 miles away, or what are you shooting, Shiv?
birds,
Yeah.
just general, wildlife. I mean, any wildlife photography, you need reach.
Yeah.
And this gives it to you.
Love it. Love it. All right, that's a good pick of the week. So touche. So now you've spent some of my money probably on
Well,
lenses.
look, the lens will be out next month.
Oh,
So you can pre-order it now. It'll be on your doorstep the day it
I
arrives.
could totally. I mean, and to bring this to Mexico would be kind of cool, I think.
Yes.
Oh,
yes,
jeez.
yes.
So Tim, if you go buy a Micro Four Thirds system, you can borrow some of my lenses. I'm just saying.
I gotta pay for other things first.
I hear you. I hear you. Food. You don't need food or all that stuff. All right, cool, Shiv. Thank you. That was a great pick. A very expensive pick for me, but thank you very much for that.
So it's worth it.
Yeah. Oh, I know. These lenses.
worth
That's the thing. We joke about it, but these lenses, I like buying these kinds of lenses or these Micro Four Thirds lenses because I know these bodies that we have are going to come and go, right? There's always these new bodies coming out, but as long as we stick with that Micro Four Thirds mount, whether we go to Olympus or Panasonic or whatever, all my lenses are going to work wherever I go. So it's less of a, should I get that? Am I wasting money? And more of a, this is going to be with me. It's going to stick to my ribs, for a long time.
Glass does hold its value, and as much as I've done, I could to knock Canon today, and maybe even knock Nikon to some extent. One thing I will say that 2 years ago, when I sold all my Canon glass, I actually made more money on a lot of lenses than what I paid for them. So,
oh, nice. All right. Well, I could use. All right, TWiP listeners, if you need Nikon glass, email me.
Frederick's got him.
But I got lots of Nikon glass, really good glass that I'm gonna get rid of. Based on Shiv Verma, you've inspired me to clean out my closet. So, cool. All right, Tim Engel, what about you, man? What is your pick of the week?
My pick is much less, I guess, pricey.
Okay, good.
So recently on location, this came in very handy, and it's one of those things that I keep in my bag, and I've had it forever, but I just, the power of it recently on a shoot was kind of like shown again. So it's just the Manfrotto spring clamp with the flash shoe. So for every flash I have a clamp, and even for the LED panels, I'm more and more now. I have to do shoots that, there may be a video component to it, and so the images have to look the same in still as they do in video. So we're clamping small LED panels to different locations.
Oh, right, right.
And
That's a really good idea.
I'm using a $30 LED panel, and I have 5 of those in my bag, and I have a clamp that goes with each one. And I put these around corners and up in the ceiling and in a tree and on a rock, and they'll stand by themselves just on the ground. And they just have proven themselves time and time again. Even if they're on a stand, I can clamp an umbrella. I did an umbrella recently with the LED panel just for, an exterior fill for a portrait.
Now, if you guys look at this page I'm showing right now, it says it's showing. This is my Amazon. Obviously, I'm logged into Amazon. It's saying I purchased this in 2009 on April 30th. This I was looking at. I was like, why? When did I purchase? And I bought a bunch of these. I think I bought like 4 of them because I was hot and heavy into this Joe McNally style small strobe world, right? So I was shooting Nikon back then still, and I had a bunch of SB. 24, 25, 26, etc. strobes that I was putting on these to do model photography with. So I use these strobes and clamp them, like Tim was saying, to different spots. So I still have all these. I'm going to pull them out. Now that you say, you're putting LED panels on these, I'm like, okay, I need to reincorporate these into my workflow. But I wonder, I was going to ask both of you guys, based on this, I was thinking, like, how many times have each of you shot actual strobe in the past year or so? The past 365 days. Tim, I know a lot because you're shooting models in your studio and all that. But outside of the studio, are you using strobe? You know, is it full flash or what?
I just used strobe when we were in Florida for the pool shoot.
Like on like small strobes or
Yeah,
big?
no, I had
big-
actually I had 3 Nikon strobes and 3 LED panels. I mixed them, and it was just to kind of open up different areas, and just for rocks and waterfalls, and we were in a crazy storm, and the strobes were all bagged.
Yeah, yeah.
I was outside on the umbrella, and Christine was in with the client with the cam ranger as she controlled the camera because I kind of sealed it up so I could review it. And I'm in the rain, and I could review it. And then she would make the adjustments based off of me talking to her on the phone, so I didn't have to do anything other than make sure it was going.
That's great. That's great. So you're both feet still into strobe. Shiv, what about you?
I use strobes for a lot of my commercial and product work. But funny you talk about that clamp, and I'm not going to pull the light out this time, which I did the last time. But I use my light, and it's actually on one of these clamps. It's not the Manfrotto, it's the Cupo clamp, but it's exactly the same style. And that's what's holding up the light. So yeah, I use it. I use about 4 of them with the LED panels, rotor lights, and small strobes when needed.
Love it, love it. Cool. This is really cool. All right, and now I gotta go dig through my lighting clamp box in the garage and find these clamps so I can play with. Because I have LEDs sitting right over there that I haven't really used, and I never really put one and one together and said, okay, you can put these on those clamps and then use them in all kinds of places.
Well, Saturday we'll put them in some spots.
Yeah, I'll bring them. I will definitely bring them. Cool. All right, guys, we are at the end of another episode of This Week in Photo. We talked about what you guys have coming up at the beginning of the show, but why don't you give us a recap, Shiv? What's coming up for you over the coming weeks?
Well, I think the best way is, we've kind of gone 1 hour, and if I start talking about my trips, we might never end.
I love it. I love to hear. I love to live vicariously through you and your.
So the best is, if show notes, I put the links into some of the trips, and then I put one link in there for all of the trips. So the key is, come join us. My trips are not inordinately expensive. It's a lot of fun, and camaraderie, and education. And that's what it's all about. So
it is memories. I gotta say, I've the past couple of years I've been going on lots of photo trips. I've gone to, joined Trey Radcliffe in New Zealand. I've joined Valerie Jardin in Paris. I've gone on another Paris trip to the Champagne region of Paris. I've gone to the Vietnam, so all these different trips. And I gotta say, the big thing, it's hard to grok this, but the big thing is once you're outside of your comfort bubble of being at home, and I've got my perfectly charged and polished bag of gear there that has never taken a photo. Once you take that out and you go somewhere far, even if it's this next state over, it's weird how your perception changes. I was going through some photos today, and I was looking at and kind of taking myself back to where I was when I shot the photo, and my mind is like in a completely different place. I'm taking photos of things I would never have taken photos of if I was just in the Bay Area in San Francisco or something.
Yeah.
And when you're someplace far and it's foreign and you're slightly on edge and you're excited and you're eating strange foods, like something ignites in you photographically that makes you want to take great photos. Shiv, you have that experience as well?
It's the chemical, the travel chemical that makes you do things that you otherwise wouldn't do. Yeah. But I think more important than that is, I think the relationships that you build with the folks who come on these trips, and it's amazing what it does, because it's a different kind of motivation, and it's the very joint, unified approach to things. We've got to get the best, work together to get it, go to the right places, work together to do it. It's just a whole different experience.
It is, yeah. And people, I want to just hammer it home that it's not just the idea of, okay, I'm going to spend this money, and then I got to go over here, and I got to take photos, I'm going to take time off work and all this. I was telling someone here a couple of days ago that traveling, a lot of people tend to be afraid of traveling. Right? Because it's like, oh, it's what's going to be out there. Especially outside of the U.S. Americans in general. I'm generalizing, but Americans are like, outside of the U.S. it's scary. There's bad things, and everybody's going to get me. But when you go out there, I gotta tell you, when I was in Vietnam, I had some of those feelings because I am, of course, American, right? So I'm thinking about Vietnam, like, oh man, I'm going to a communist country. The food, I'm gonna get sick. I'm gonna get arrested. You
Charge
know,
You
of
might never
batteries.
come back.
yeah, I'm never gonna come back. You know, they're gonna know I'm ex-military. They're gonna give me the people in Vietnam were the nicest people I have ever met in my life. I never felt more welcome there than I felt in any other place. It was just, despite how many people were there, I never felt in danger or afraid. And I was telling my dad the other day, I was telling him, in many cases, this may sound controversial, but I felt safer in Vietnam than I do in my own country, for many reasons. I come back to America, like looking over my shoulder. Over there, I was just another guy, hanging out taking pictures.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful, and I think most of the countries, people respect human beings.
Yeah.
I have sometimes this feeling that it's in this country that we kind of lack respect for each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
But everywhere else, I mean, it's just, there's a tremendous respect. And, here we have issues with, oh, you're a photographer. What are you doing? You're stealing my soul. You're taking my pic. Nobody cares over there. I mean, take as many pictures as you want. I mean, there are some countries that'll want a little money for it, but they'll still let you take the picture.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and it makes me think, I've done some online things, and there's times I've regretted spending the money on the online, but I've never traveled and done a photo outing and thought to myself, oh, I regretted that money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Same here. Same here. Yeah, I've never come back saying, oh, wow, I wish I could have that money back. It's always, wow, I wish this could have lasted another couple of days.
And when can I go back?
Yeah, and when can I get in the Lightroom and look at my images? Because, I know I may have one or two good images in there.
Yeah.
So, all right, well, cool. Well, Shiv, thank you for that. Tim Engel, what about you, man? What do you have coming up? Other than, I know you told us at the top of the show, but recap it for us.
Yeah, so this week we're in Fashion Week, so shooting some of that stuff, just kind of like being involved in that community. And that's really what it is around here. It's the community. It's that I love to support. It's all the creatives, from hair to makeup to models to designers. So it's just a really cool time of year that everybody just does what they do and does it really well.
All right, cool.
And then I think we're about ready soon for our show.
Yes. Yeah, go ahead and talk about it. Yeah.
Yeah, so we have our show coming up, which is Fashion Focus. So it's Christine and I talking about the fashion photography world, from technology to style to makeup to models to hair to all the subjects in between.
Yeah,
so
it's gonna be exciting.
I think we're not far from that coming out.
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right, boss?
Yep. that's right. Yeah, it's gonna be a big year for This Week in Photo. We've got lots of stuff coming out. We've got that fashion show coming out. We've got our drone show that's on the horizon. We've got the Science of Photography with Don Komarechka, photo apps with Joseph Lanashki. We've got Rick Salmon and Juan Pons bringing their digital photo experience podcast into the TWiP network, as well as launching some other projects that I can't quite talk about yet, but it's going to be exciting. So the network it's getting bigger.
Growing.
Yeah, it is growing. It's exciting to see this stuff happen. It's amazing when you try to do cool and positive things with cool and positive people. It's fun. It's a lot of work, but it's fun. It's not like, okay, I got to go to work and sit in this Monday morning stand-up meeting with my boss and justify my existence. We're working all the time on this stuff, but it's really, really fun because we're doing what we love doing. So,
yeah.
And where are you going? Where are you going next, Frederick?
My next trip is to, I got to think about it, WPPI. So that's in Las Vegas. I'll be there, I guess, next month to hang out. And check this out. So Bruce Clark, the host of TWiP Weddings, is going, and I'm going to be his cameraman. So I'm bringing the DJI Osmo with me. We're going to mic him up and go attack different booths and record short interviews for TWiP.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I'm gonna be a hired hand there, holding the camera, the key grip, Frederick.
That's right.
Hey man, it's all hands on deck on TWiP all the time.
You get to wear a crew shirt now.
I do. I'm gonna wear this shirt right here. It's this one. All right, guys, thank you for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure. And listeners, we are at the end of another episode of This Week in Photo. I want to thank our sponsors, FreshBooks, for their support of the show. Also, be sure to check out of Chicago. I'll be speaking there as well in the coming months. And be sure to, all this stuff is over on our website at thisweekinphoto.com, and you can follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and subscribe to this channel on YouTube. And on YouTube, be sure to comment and like and do all that good stuff. We appreciate that. And with that, it is time to take that lens cap off.